Welcome, folks, to a new series in our BattleTech Simplified genre. In this series, we will be covering various aspects and quick dives of the 5 great houses of the Inner Sphere. Specifically, in this episode, we will be covering a grand overview of all 5 houses, and then in the subsequent 5 episodes, we will be going into a little bit deeper detail and greater detail of each individual house therein. So sit back, grab a beverage, and buckle up. We're about to get really, really nerdy in this bitch. So, the Inner Sphere, uh, a collection of 5 great houses, which we will be going clockwise, starting at the bottom, is made up of the following: House Liao, aka the Capella Confederation; House Merrick, aka the Free Worlds League; House Steiner, aka the Lyran Commonwealth; House Kurita, aka the Draconis Combine; and House Davian, aka the Free, or aka the Federated Sons. Now a little bit about each. Starting again at the at the bottom and going clockwise. House Liao is very much the worst part is themed after the worst parts of communist China, communist Russia, various totalitarian kind of states in the 20th and 21st century, or centuries. It's very much a anytime anybody is born, you are property of the state until you prove yourself otherwise, and if you don't prove yourself otherwise, you become little more than a slave. Not good people. I hate Capellans, and they're not trustworthy. Next is the Free Worlds League. They are... A lot of people think that these guys are kind of like Space America, and in a certain kind of way they are, but they're more culturally within the universe themed after like the Austro-Hungarians. Less of the American America and more like the aspect of the same kind of free flowing of ideas type thing that was more true in the Austro-Hungarian Empire prior to World War I during the 20th century. Give or take a little bit of leeway there. Next we have House Steiner, aka the Lyran Commonwealth. These guys are very much like modern, are very much an industrial and merchant area and merchant place. I don't really know what they would be modeled after um, culturally during the 20th century or before. I think that the best thing I could think of would probably be like Venetian traders or something like that. Just very heavy into merchants and industry. Think of it, I guess the best way I could put it would be, and this is just my opinion, is like the merchant and the merchant aspect of like the Venetian traders of the Middle Ages combined with like pre-World War era Germany in terms of its industry. Very much the joke is the Steiner Scout Lance, which was made famous by a couple of short films created by Tex of the Black Pants Legion. Hi Tex, big fan. Where they're all dressed, the atlases are all dressed in lederhosen and everything like that. So it is what it is. Um, Next we have House Kurita, aka the Draconis Combine. If you don't know what this is, you need to get out more. These guys are heavily based off of um, a feudalistic Japan. Um, their throne room of their great house looks like a old Shintoist temple, and yeah, they're a cool faction to play, but I don't think they would be such a cool faction to live under. Let's just put it that way. And last but not least, we last but not least have the House Davian, aka the Federated Sons. These guys, flat out, are often considered to be the goody two shoes kind of guys. These guys are like the forces of Western Europe, like France and England and all that stuff, and they're often considered to be themed after like noble knights and everything like that. So, like no, like the Western houses of nobility, uh, um, of like the Middle Ages and everything like that, like chivalrous and all that stuff. Chivalrous, gallant, upstanding, that kind of thing. And as such, they've kind of gotten the somewhat bad reputation of being kind of goody two shoes kind of guys. Um, but yeah, um, that's those are the basics of information. What I will say to kind of close this off is kind of each of their strengths, and I guess a couple of their weaknesses. The strengths of House of the compelling confederation would probably be the fact that they have an amazing, and I mean an amazing, uh, intelligence and sub sabotage network. They are known almost as much for underhanded tactics of a Byzantine nature than they are for open combat. So there's that. House Merrick, aka the Free Worlds League, is well known for their combination of free ideals and being able to um, field some pretty awesome mechs. Not in huge numbers, but they can stand their own. They're a contender. Uh, if I had to give them a real strength, it would be that uh, they have some of the best and most experienced engineers anywhere in the inner sphere. For House Steiner, I would have to say their whole thing is that they may not have the best, they may not have the best troops, they may not have the best generals by any means, but good lord, do they have the most troops and the biggest battle mechs, because they are such an industrial power that they have the money to throw at it. For the Curetans, their whole thing is they have some of the best quality troops. The problem is that a lot of um, their generals are and military tactics are based along the ideas of Neo Bushido, or a new version of Bushido. So if you lose rather than trying to discipline and then redeploy and retrain and redeploy a general, they instead have to commit seppuku. So it's kind of a self-defeating and self-defeating tactic and a self-fulfilling prophecy of doom. Still, they managed to get away. They managed to get on with stuff. And last but not least is Davian, and their whole thing is that they are right along the same line as House Merrick, uh, and they have really good engineers, but their mechs tend to be of better quality, even if they are fewer than House Steiner. I think House Davian, the best way I could put it would be the best parts of House Steiner and House Merrick, with the pilot programs and pilot proficiency of House Karita. They're a pretty strong house. Now, as for each one's um, as for each house's faults, I would have to say uh, House Liao, the Compelling Confederation, their biggest weakness in a word would be would be um, inefficiency. For House Merrick, it's probably um, well, for House Liao, it would be economic inefficiency. For House Merrick, it would be political and infrastructural inefficiency. For House Steiner, it would be um, arrogance. For House Kurita, it would be stupidity. And for House Davian, it would probably be something along the lines of also arrogance. So, which is probably why later on in our time period, House Steiner and mirroring it, House Steiner and House Davian kind of came together to form their own thing. But we'll get to that more in a future episode. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this quick little explanation of my understanding of how the houses work, a little bit about them, and what their strengths and weaknesses are. Stay tuned for the future episodes in this series where we dive into each one of the five great houses and we discuss more about them, including things like not only their cultural aspects, but also one or two key mechs that they are famous for, as well as a few other key pieces of information about each one. Thank you guys so much. If you haven't already, please be sure to ring the bell icons, uh, smash the like button, and hit the subscribe button. Also, be sure to check the links out down in the description. Thank you so much. I'm Michael Shockman. I've been your host and commentator, and until next time, guys, remember as always, no guts, no galaxy. Later, everybody.